Welcome to another cabin video. I'm just heading over to the doghouse. We're going to fire up a little bit of power, get the lights on. We've got our little Energy Apex power unit here. We'll plug in, switch on. That'll give us lights in the cabin. So the idea today is to get a table built. Last time it came out, we milled it up from a big giant piece of ash tree, like a big ash. I've also got a gift from another YouTuber to try over at the fish pond. And I've got some new gadgets and gizmos from Worksharp, and we're gonna sharpen some knives. First of all, let's get to work and let's build ourselves a table to make the catch and cook a lot easier. Oh man, it's so dark in here. Wait a second, lights, and one more switch, loft lights. Pretty cool, huh? And that's the Energy Apex unit. There'll be a link down below. You can use my affiliate code. I'm pretty sure you get a discount, but I'm not sure how much it is. Anyway, it's probably worthwhile going through that link. So we got our table all laid out. This is gonna end up being probably a $2,000 to $3,000 table once we have it all built. So we're gonna shrink this up and put it in, and then the skirting will go around the outside. So that's what we're gonna get started with first.
This is my coping saw. It helps me cope. It's a coping saw. It's a hand tool. It helps me cope. Hand tools. Coping with hand tools.
Hand tools.
That's a hand tool.
Hand tools. Yeah, they're all hand tools. Use your hands. It's a hand tool. Now we got all these notched out, these funny little bits. Now we got to get it to go inside here to form the leg bracings, and this is going to hide the bracing, hopefully, if we get it done. We don't have all the right tools to do this. So now we're going to figure out how long we need to make it. We're figuring about 6 feet. That'll give us enough room to tuck around, not hit the stove over here in this corner. And we'll have a bench probably that we can slide in behind here, so we're not interfering with too much of the room and what's going on in it. It is a small space, so consideration is this immovable object. And then we'll call this the skirt bit. I don't know, I'm not a furniture maker, neither is Kevin. We're just fudging this. It's just gonna be a rustic table in the woods, off-grid cabin build. So we're gonna do a butt joint because we're not confident that even our legs are square. So it's starting to look like a table now. We've got the legs, the H legs on. If we did 45, which would be ideal, then you wouldn't see the end grain. So we'll make it so that you barely see it at all. Yeah, so a couple more pieces to go. We're gonna have ourselves a table.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Me and my big ash.
Stick your big ash down.
Throw my big ash down on the table. There. Voila.
Beautiful. It's beefy. How much do you think that weighs?
Probably weighs 150, 160 pounds.
More than that. 250.
Is the foundation going to support this table?
Nope.
Nope, we're just gonna go right through.
On the bottom here, I'm just gonna put a couple slats across because we don't have the technology to join those big beefy boards together permanent. We can always take it apart later, at least the top part, and get it biscuit jointed or whatever the heck goes on with furniture these days.
Got the whole thing. Apparently.
Romanian deadlift now.
Like this?
Yeah.
Lunges?
They walk through the forest like that. It'd be good.
Actually, it's not bad. It's not bad. I mean, like, I'm surprised it's so level. Yes, if you want to sit here and be like, if there's ever a fire, you're not going out, you're gonna die. You can't stand up. You gotta like go like that, or you. There.
Probably I fit. Maybe I don't. It's the chair height.
It's not the chair height. It's the regular size chair height. It's the table that gotta be taller.
It's not bad. So it looks pretty good. We got just a little bit of leg room at the bottom with the big giant skirt, but we can prop the legs up. We just put like a little disc or trunk piece or something on the bottom just to buff it up a little bit, 1 more inch for most people. Or we can get shorter chairs. We'll just cut the legs off. We'll cut 1 inch off of all the chair legs. These were sent to me by Jim Missoura. He has a YouTube channel and an Etsy where he makes custom flies. So that's meant to simulate those pellet feed that we've been using. You guys have been suggesting we do that, so we're going to try that. He also sent me some dry flies and some nymphs. Looks like he's got a red worm here. That red worm might actually work really well in the pond. So we'll try that guy out. And he's got some big giant flies that might also imitate a floating pellet. Thanks, Jim. Guys, go check out Jim Missoura. I'll give you the link down in the description and the pinned comment. If you guys want to order a custom fly or you like what he's already got for sale on his Etsy account, give him a shout out. All right, dudes, after all that work, I'm starving. Let's go over to the pond. We'll grab a fish. We'll come back here. We'll cook it up and we'll sharpen our knives. All right, just at the pond here, and I noticed there's a ton of grasshoppers. So I'm curious to see if the trout are on to the natural feed here. So we're gonna try to catch one if we can. There's one here. Okay, we gotta get the wings off here so I can't fly anymore. So let's give it a shot. Let's see if they're onto the natural feed here. Yeah, I don't know. I see a bunch of fish schooled right in here. Maybe wait for them to swing by again. Oh, they're looking at it. Not really though. It's just sitting on top, but they're not grabbing it. The grasshopper's got a bit of a wiggle too. Maybe they'll come back and grab it. Well, they're hungry. They're swimming around. They're healthy, that's for sure. That's a good test to see if they're onto the natural feed. They're not really onto the natural feed. So let's get on that Jim Missoura fly pellet imitation. We'll cast it out there with the fly line and we'll see if they'll actually go for the pellet feed. We'll see if we can trick them. We got the pellet feed imitator from Jim tied on here. He said the size doesn't matter. He said, as long as it resembles something of what they're eating, he said this will probably float for a long time too. So I'm gonna try this on its own without throwing the pellet feed in. If that doesn't work, Jim said throw it in conjunction with the feed. And if they're grabbing the feed, they're probably gonna mistake this for feed and then grab it too. Not sure if you guys ever seen the feed, but the feed is just a little brown speck. So it's quite a bit bigger than the imitator, but it's got the same kind of look and texture. All right, so we're not gonna feed the fish first. We'll try a little cast here, see what happens. All right, flies out there. I don't see anything looking at it yet. Yeah, it's right on top of them. They actually scattered on that one. It's coming toward it here. They're not looking at it, that's for sure. Well, that didn't get their attention either. Oh, one started looking at it actually. So I think what we need to do probably is get them into their feed response and tell that, like the fish really do key in on the sound and the vibration that the pellet feed provides when it lands in the water, and it doesn't just land one thing. Just like that grasshopper. It's not just one thing landing in the pond at one time. It's like a whole bunch of things, and that triggers their feeding response. Let's grab a handful of feed and then we'll cast this in with the feed and see if that makes a difference. Throw some feed in around the pellet imitator. And they're not even going in for the feed anymore. There they go. So there's feed right on top of the fly right now. And they're into feed mode. Those fish are right keyed into that pellet and nothing else. Very frustrating. Oh, the crew of them are there now. Now there's probably 50 fish, 60, 70 fish in there feeding. Might as well throw some more feed out. We are here to feed them anyway. If we can get a meal out of it, all the better. Fly right down there, it's sinking down. Oh, one looked at it and it scuttled away. Well guys, I gave it a try. I'd like to thank Jim again for all the flies. Guys, check out his Etsy account. Check out his YouTube channel. He sent all these for me to try out. So I really appreciate it, Jim. Thanks a lot. And I'm not done with these flies. We're gonna keep using them. But for today, I just want to catch a fish and get back to the cabin. So thanks, Jim. If you have any ideas about the pellet feed, how we can imitate those, the viewers and Jim, let me know and see if we can get something to work. I think these fish are a little bit on the dumb side. They're too domesticated. Don't get too domesticated. That's a lesson for you guys out there too. When you see something wild, like one of these flies or wild-like looking, go after it. Your life's gonna be better for it. There, we'll take that guy. That's a good one. Oh, good fight. Good fight. They're all freaking out now. Oh, nice jump too. That's it. There we go. There's a good sized dinner trout. What do you guys think of that one? That's a good size. Oh, got some power. Man, what a difference it makes when you switch over to real live food. There's a nice trout. We'll take him back to the cabin and we'll have ourselves a meal on the barbecue. How does that sound? Well, we've been out here quite frequently at our pond, checking to make sure everything's okay. Looks like the water has come back up at least 2 or 3 feet with all the rain we've been having, which is really good news. Obviously not good news if we're gonna be digging this thing out again, but hey, so what? We get to deal with it. But I wanna get some underwater footage just so you guys can see the kind of growth we're getting out of these fish. So I'm gonna toss the GoPro in a bunch of food, and we're gonna see just how well our fish are doing. Big thanks to Linden Trout Hatcheries, Linden Trout Pond. They're the ones who supplied us the fish. And we got the dugout dude who gave us the aerators for keeping our fish alive. Well, now how luxurious is this? We get to cook on a homemade, bushcrafted, off-grid, big ash table. This is luxury. This is what you guys have been asking for so long. Well, some of you anyway. The gritty cooking, the pot stews, all that you guys are not big into. I am going to use some tin foil. I know that's a big sin, but I realize there's some research out there that if you use Alzheimer, you'll eventually end up with tinfoil. But I've been using Alzheimer my entire life, and so far no tinfoil. Completely forgot I had used up all my last Alzheimer, so I had to go to the store and grab some more. One big strip of it. So we're gonna do a bacon wrapped trout garlic deal. I've got a press. Look how prepared I am. Get our garlic going. So I like a lot of garlic. I don't know what you guys like. You guys like a lot of garlic or not, but we're gonna get a whole pile of this rocking. I don't know if I'm gonna use all, yeah, I'm gonna use all of it. I love garlic. I'll just eat the whole clove straight up. Okay, so we're gonna lay the rainbow trout down. Beautiful. And then we're gonna take our garlic. We're gonna stuff that in the cavity. Now this should be mostly boneless in here. Just a tiny bit of maple syrup inside here. We don't want it to leak out and burn. We'll just do a crisscross all the way down the fish to keep everything locked and loaded. Okay, now that's all done. Let's head out to the barbecue. We're gonna do about 12 minutes per side, and it's gonna be done perfectly. When we take it off, we can add some more maple syrup and dive right in. All right, now that we got the fish on the barbecue, I've been waiting to exhibit this sharpener for like a year. They sent me this thing a year ago, and I've always wanted to try it, and it's kind of sat around because, you know, I don't sharpen my knives and I'm a terrible sharpener. I've shown you this guided field sharpener before. I've given it out to lots of different people. Zach Fowler's got one. If you guys checking out Zach Fowler's got the 30-day survival series coming out. You should go check him out. And he's got a something versus something. It's a really cool series. And he strapped a GoPro to a lobster. You guys will enjoy that. Anyway, we gotta sharpen some knives. They've also sent me this little pocket knife sharpener. It's kind of a smaller version of this one. This one is a backpack. This is one you put in your pocket. And then coming out this year, they've got some teasers. They've got a micro sharpener. It's the same kind of guide. It's got a couple different tightening screws. It's got the ceramic. It's just even smaller. It's got a little lanyard so you can stick that on your pack and you wouldn't even know you had it. And then they have a pivot plus sharpener. So that's got those little V notches where you can just sit and drag. And that's good for a quick sharpener on if you're filleting fish or whatever. But this is the one I want to feature right now. So basically what this is, it's kind of like a mini grinder. It's got a belt on the front here that spins around and sharpens your knife or tool or whatever. You can sharpen pretty much anything on there. And this head will pivot as well, so you can use it more as a grinder by removing that. You got a little bit more leeway. You're gonna put it up against that wall there, and then you're gonna start here at the base of your knife, at your knuckle guard, and then all you're gonna do is turn the machine on and pull your knife toward you. So you got to keep it flat up against the guide and pull it toward you. That's it. And then you're going to do the same thing on the other side. Put it up against the guide and then one smooth motion, pull it across. That's it. You hear that? That's a super, super sharp knife. Put that up against your thumb and it sticks. You're golden. You can also sharpen axes with this by removing it, and then set it how you want, put your knife on there and you can grind away. So you can see how this would work for a large knife if you kind of want to see what you're doing. You guys can get this woodobo spice. It's a special blend that I kind of came up with a few years ago. It's a partnership with Zach Fowler. But I'll give you guys a link if you guys want to pick this up, grab it. It's good on everything, absolutely everything, even your domestic variety food. So if you guys are eating chicken, it's still going to be good. You can put on absolutely everything. I heard people put on popcorn. I put it on crow. It's good on crow. It's good on everything. There we go.
Well, I don't know what you guys think of that, but I think that looks fantastic.
So it didn't quite get crispy. Ideally, you'd cook it right on the flame, and then it would crisp up. But again, I didn't want it to fall down inside. Obviously, bacon, fresh maple syrup, and woodobo spices taste fantastic. The reason that I used the tinfoil was also to catch the drippings. I do wish I would have put some of the woodobo spice inside the cavity with the garlic, but such is life. And we're gonna sop up all the spices in here, and we're gonna grab a little bit of that garlic. That's good. The drippings are nice and fatty, full of maple syrup. So it adds a little bit of a thickener in a sauce. This is a pretty complete meal. But this is an agricultural meal because obviously we use aquaculture for the fish, and the bacon is farm raised. But we're also adding some of our wild foraged foods, which is the maple syrup. And that's basically how humans lived. In an environment like this, on a homestead, grabbing things, I should say supplementing things they could get from the wild with things they could grow on their own. Well, it's a pretty satisfying feeling when you get to put the cover plates on. But that's where we're at, cover plates. So we're making a lot of progress on the cabin. If you guys are enjoying the cabin series and you want to see more of it, feel free to do what you do. Watch the whole thing, share it if you want, and leave me a comment, let me know how I'm doing. And as always, if you watch the entire video, right full stop.